Yes, people, it's LokiMan07 back with another YouTube video. This will be the final part of the mythology of Final Fantasy X. This has been an occult study of Final Fantasy X and a retrospective of the game and its story. All spoilers, of course. What we're going to do in this video is put a cap on all of the things that I have mentioned, and of course this whole thing about the zodiacal system. We're going to go through the zodiac, and then we're going to explain a little more about the things I've said, and of course iron them out so they're ironclad. So like I said, going through the zodiacal system will be explained as the game does pass through a zodiacal year, Tidus being the sun passing through a year and passing through the zodiac. That will be explained. Things I've mentioned about Yuna being the mother goddess and that the other two females are an expression of her, that will be explained also. And the whole Yuna-Leska thing, the death of Auron, all of that will be explained. This game of course follows Final Fantasy lore that spreads throughout all games. Final Fantasy lore is the same lore that any JRPG follows, any fantasy movie follows. It's the same rules over and over again. There's an underworld that is the stream, etc. The live stream, it's all the same stuff. All of that stuff is retellings of mythology, concepts of heaven and hell, etc. I have been going through those things in this series, and I will of course expand upon them further here. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the final part of the mythology of Final Fantasy X. Okay people, if you have made it this far in this series, I'm about to give you the ultimate key. Buckle your seatbelt. I've been talking a lot about these constellations, and I said I will bring all this stuff together to make it make sense, right? So keep this in mind. It is how most people in the know write things and get them excellently, especially if you know the knowledge of numbers. If you know the knowledge of planets and their link to numbers and things like that, you'll start to write amazing things just off of the principles. Okay people, I hope this is all going to make sense, but like I said, once you hear this you cannot unhear it. If you're ever writing your own literature, right, or watching something, it's going to start in one of two places on the zodiacal wheel. It's going to start at either Capricorn, because Capricorn represents the god Saturn, who is the beginning and the ender, life and death cycle. He's going to represent your villain. Or it will start at Aries, because Aries represents Mars, who is the hero, and Aries represents the beginning of the hero's journey. In this game, you start off at Capricorn, Saturn. Capricorn, Saturn is your beginning and ender, like I said, and it is the villain. This is of course Sin in this game. Sin, the great dragon, right, the great beast. All right, keep that in mind as we go through the zodiacal wheel. The next thing we have is Aquarius, the man pouring the pitcher of water. Okay, as I explained at the beginning of this study, this is ruled over by the planet Jupiter, because Jupiter represents the boy child, the new hope, the fool, potential. This is of course represented in its month, January, right? January, new beginnings, Janus or Uranus principle, the beginnings, all right? This is of course expressed in the game as art, as Sin, Capricorn, pours out the waters. All right. Then you go from Aquarius to Pisces. If literature is written, this is usually symbolized as this hero being protected for a short time by either a place or a land, or a female or his mother. This is the Pisces aspect, the two fishes as I explained at the beginning of this study. This is ruled over by the planet Neptune, Poseidon, god of the seas, right? This whole thing about marines, like I'll give you a good example of the Pisces aspect of a son savior archetype story is Mary riding on a donkey, right, guiding Jesus to a place of safety to find the inn. Another example would be Moses' mother casting him down a river into the arms of another mother. Okay, in this game, Tidus was cast down through the seas into the arms of Riku. This is where you get them two characters swimming around as fishes, as I explained earlier. And then you go from Pisces to Aries. This is ruled over by the planet Mars and represents the hero's beginnings, the hero's journey, the golden coat. The gold coat is the sun rising in spring. Okay, Aries, right? All right. And this is represented by Tidus coming out of the waters in Besaid with his glory, with his blitzball skills, impressing everyone, being this amazing man. His potential has now risen. Okay, and the next thing you go from Aries is into Taurus. Taurus is ruled over by the planet Venus, the feminine aspect. If you're writing a literature, once you have introduced and shown your hero, your Aries, he's going to need a point of focus. This point of focus is usually, of course, the female, right? This is the boy meets girl aspect, Beauty and the Beast, as I've mentioned in previous videos, right? In this game, this is when Tidus meets the Lady Una, right? And of course, if you want to write a good Taurus aspect, the male and the female should be from two opposite spectrums. The male should be a perversion of whatever the female believes, and this is represented in the game as Tidus the heathen on the, stay away from the summoner.
You heathen!
Stay away from the summoner! You're a bad man!
Lady Una, be careful.
But it was really my fault to begin with.
Oh.
Right? Just great writing using the zodiac. Let's continue. You go from Taurus to Gemini. Right? Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. Right? Gemini represents the fall, the love, okay, the choice, okay, Castor and Pollux, the two poles, the two things working from different principles, and the feminine having to select one of those two principles. This is also Eve in the garden picking either from the tree of knowledge and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Una is going to pick from either Tidus or Seymour here. This is where in the game is represented by the Lady Una meeting Seymour in Luca. This is the Gemini aspect of the game. Okay? And of course, the Lady Una is going to eat from these two trees.
So, we meet again, Lady Una.
Yes?
You look troubled. Is there anything I can do?
Okay? You go from Gemini into Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon, This is emotions, the moon. This is where, if you're a good story writer, you're going to give your reader some investment, because now that these two characters are established, the male and the female, and the villain has been introduced in the Gemini aspect, right? You're now going to have to give your reader a reason to be interested in these two principles. This is where Cancer comes into play. Cancer is the crab. I've already mentioned on this channel that the crab, Cancer, represents the great scavenger, death, right? A threat, okay? But this Cancer is the cause for protection, bonds, okay? So Cancer is linked to protection, the need for security, right? And this is represented in the game by Sin destroying everyone that you can see. The whole party witnesses. This is the whole Operation Mihen, the need to protect Spira, okay, and the death and the destruction. In this game, it's given to you so much that you even fight some crustacean-like creature, right? On the shores of Mushroom Rock Road, right? That's how deep it is, right? Anyway, let's continue. After the Cancer aspect, this, after you move the viewer, right, you're gonna have to go into the Leo aspect. The Leo aspect is going to be where the hero needs to rise to the occasion. Okay, Leo represents courage. Leo is ruled by the sun, right? So this is full summer, right? So this is where, after all of the influence that Seymour puts onto the Lady Una, and things are playing out, Tidus has to just break his chains and rise to the occasion. This is where Tidus now has to rescue, or starts to rescue, the Lady Una from the clutches of Seymour, right? And this is written so well in this game that Tidus isn't even really rescuing the Lady Una. Lady Una is one of the best written female characters in anything.
Kill them.
I am sorry, but it is for Yevon.
Aren't those weapons forbidden by Yevon?
Throw down your weapons. Let them go. Or else.
This part of the game represents the transition from Leo to Virgo the Virgin. Of course, Lady Una is dressed in all white, and the whole marriage theme representing the passing over of her innocence. Not only is that going to be happening physically, but mentally they're going to lose their innocence as they really look at what Bevel is, what the whole principle of this sacrifice ritual is, and how they're going to move forward. Okay, we're going to continue on with the constellations, the star signs, and the themes. Okay, so once the hero rises to the occasion, you go from Leo to Virgo, which is ruled over by the planet Mercury. Okay, Virgo, right, represents the maiden or the virgin. Maiden and virgin this whole aspect can be linked to sexuality, of course. Usually in literature or movies or something, the hero will probably have a sex scene at this point or something like that. Okay, but what this actually represents is a guiding principle. So feminine principle. It's the most feminine star sign, basically, because it is about leaning upon the opposite. So the male is going to lean upon the female, and the female is going to lean upon the male, right? It also represents the loss of innocence, okay, regardless of whether it's a sex scene or an or a conscious state, a belief system. In the game, the heroes are going to lose their innocence, okay. This is represented by Bevel, the place. Bevel is actually it means Bevel means to level, right? It's linked to the word level. Like it's basically like it's a carpentry word for sloping something from the vertical to the horizontal, so leveling, kind of like what I say about the door hinge thing, right? It's literally like so what it represents is the heroes passing through a doorway of knowledge, and when they get to Bevel, you actually hear where the thought processes of the group change and things come into question, so much so that it's starting to now affect Waka.
It's too quiet. A trap?
Who cares? Yuna's waiting for us!
Huh?
What's a machina doing in the temple?
I suppose it comes in handy.
That's not what I mean. The teachings. What about the teachings?
Hey, don't look at me.
Another machina? Man.
So this is Yevon's true face. They betray their own teachings.
They treated us like dirt.
And once you go from this Virgo aspect, right, you're going to go into Libra, right? Libra is ruled by the planet Venus, okay? This is like this represents relationships and balance, of course, scales. This is, of course, represented by judgment also, right? Liberty, okay? So what's going to happen here in the story is that once Virgo passes and your characters come into the knowledge of what they need to do, they're going to become resolute. They're going to pass judgment on whatever is happening. And this is done perfectly in the scene where Tidus and Yuna are swimming under the moon.
Hey! Xanarkin! Let's go to Xanarkin! Not the one in Spira, the one I'm from. Yeah, we can all fly there. Everyone can go.
I'd like to see it. Someday.
Well, you can, Yuna. We can both go. You...
I can't. I just can't. I can't go.
Right? This is where resolution is made, and the Lady Yuna knows exactly what she's going to do now. Okay? From this point, you're going to go from Libra to Scorpio, which is ruled over by Pluto and Mars. Okay, this represents the Martian aspect of death. Pluto is the god of death. Okay, right? Just like how Mars is linked to the sun in Aries, Mars is linked to, which is life, he's linked to death in the Scorpio sign. Okay, linked to the planet Pluto. Now, this represents Pluto, who represents Hades, right? This is the thing. At this point in any movie, if it's an action movie or something, there's going to be this massive battle scene with like some sub boss or something that is going to lead to information, that is going to lead to the creation of a plan. The underworld is always about thought. The god of the underworld, Hades or Pluto, is always about thought and material things. So this Pluto aspect will be about Pluto, life and death, or the life and death situation, right? The life and death situational bargain, right? Because it's about bargaining as well. The underworld, Hades, death, bargains, right? And there's knowledge of these things being put into practice. So this is the first stage of going up the mountain of sin, right? We're going up the mountain, Mount Sinai, right? We're gonna go up the mountain to face the wizard behind the curtain, right? The wizard behind the curtain. Things are going to reveal themselves up the top of this mountain, okay? Guided by Kimari, right? Right, the judge.
Thank you.
When you get to the top of this mountain,
No one will
a lot of the things that I have theorized are going to come into question. First of all, what is Tidus? Right? Let's get into that.
What are those?
Those are faith. A summoning. Someone is using these faith. Someone is drawing energy from all of them.
This many?
Who wields power on this scale? And what could they be calling?
Hey, you know something, don't ya? Spill the beans.
Look not to others for knowledge. This is your journey too.
Uni might die, you know?
No. Arin's right.
Huh?
This is our... This is my story.
Upon touching the faith, Tidus is sent straight to the dream world, a place he's been in contact with the entire time, okay? Tidus, of course, being a dream himself, is about to get the revelations. The whole time the party has been here, they've been going on a whim, right? They don't know what to do, but Tidus is going to be shown what to do, because he is the divine child, the great sacrificial child, right? And it's going to be given to him that he is that, as it is explained to him what he is and how he came into being.
Welcome home.
You...
Remember me? We met in Bavel.
Yeah?
But that wasn't the first time we met. I've known about you for a long time. A long, long time.
I feel like I know you too. Where are we?
Silly, don't recognize your own home?
What's gotten into you? Hey!
Wake up! Wake up!
Wait, this is a dream.
Precisely.
A dream? Are you crazy? I don't have time to be dreaming now.
You're wrong. It's not that you're dreaming. You are a dream.
Huh? Wait a sec.
So this is inside Tidus, you know, in his underworld, his dream world, his thoughts, his meta. All right, this is what he's built up from these visions, and as you can tell, he doesn't even recognize he's in his own home at the actual time, because, like I said, he doesn't really have continuity, stability. He hasn't been on Spirit for that long. He should recognize, yo, I'm at home, but it's like a memory in the background, because those memories in the background aren't actually real.
There was a war.
Yeah, with Machina, right?
Yes, a war between Zanarkand and Bavel. Bavel's Machina assured their victory from the start. Spira had never seen such power. The summoners of Zanarkand didn't stand a chance. Zanarkand was doomed to oblivion. That's why we tried to save it, if only in a memory.
What did you do?
The remaining summoners and the townspeople that survived the war, they all became faith for the summoning.
The summoning? You mean sin?
No, I mean this place. A Zanarkand that never sleeps.
Oh, what?
The dreams of the faith summoned the memories of the city. They summoned all the buildings, all the people who lived there.
The people? What? They're all dreams? Me? Too?
Yes, you're a dream of the faith. You, your father, your mother, everyone. All dreams. And if the faith stopped dreaming...
See, everyone Tidus ever knew was just like a concept. Everything that he thought of as memories were all just concepts and a dream. Like I said, it has no continuity and no time. His mother didn't exist at all. Right? What happened was Jekt exists, giving them continuity and stability in the dreamscape, like as principles. Like the principle of Jekt having a son now exists in Zanarkand. Now, that probably sounds a bit wild, but you must understand, Zanarkand, Dream Zanarkand, as Bahamut is talking now, still exists, right? But it shouldn't exist because we saw it get destroyed at the beginning of the game. So it's already destroyed. But no, it isn't destroyed because it has no continuity, no time. This is just dreams, okay? Ideals, alright?
No! So what if I'm a dream? I like being here.
We've been dreaming so long. We're tired. Would you and your father, would you let us rest? Both you and your father have been touched by sin. Sin, the one around whom all Spira, the spiral, revolves.
What are you saying?
You two are more than just dreams now.
Wake up! Wake up, please.
Just a little more, and maybe you are the dream that will end our dreaming at last.
What is happening when you're being touched by sin? Okay, remember, Dream Zanarkand itself is inside of sin, right? So what has happened is Oran has guided sin, or guided Jekt, into his own thoughts to pull his son out, right? And just like how there's lots of souls inside of sin that sin can pull out and create sin spawn, he pulled out Tidus like a summons, right? Now Tidus has continuity and time. When Tidus went to the far plane, he was able to see his mother, right? Let's look at this.
What if my old man really is Sin? What would I say to Yuna? Heck, to everybody in Spira. Wait, why should I have to apologize for him anyway? I'd rather never see him again.
What makes you hate him so?
Everything he does just makes me mad. It was his fault that me and my mother... Mom?
So of course, people, Tidus was able to see his mother in the far plane. Being touched by sin meant that, first of all, Jekt was able to create a thought form in the far plane that was repeating itself, which is the concept of him having a son, which is Tidus. Okay, Tidus is now getting an I am Tidus. Then that Tidus came to the physical world with memories. Remember, he just sprang from nothing, right? Just like characters like Teddy and Morgana in the Persona series just spring from nothing, but they can talk and they have goals and things that they like and dislike, but they came from nothing because they were born as ideals. That is what Tidus represents. So how is he able to see his mother? Just like Jekt created the thought form of Tidus in the subconscious world or the underworld, Tidus, of course, is causing his memories to have thought form in the underworld. So the thought that his mom existed and died has been given principle. And what happens when you go to the far plane? Are you actually seeing the person, or...
You're not really going to see the dead, more like your memories of them. People think of their relatives, and the Fireflies react to them. They take on the form of the dead person. An illusion, nothing else.
Okay, so if this is what is going on, what is going on with the people that can come back from the dead? People like Oran. Is Oran actually Oran? Well, no. Oran is the thoughts and the memories and the will of Oran manifest. Oran died, okay, at the hands of the Lady Yuna Leska, which we're going to get into, because who is the Lady Yuna Leska? The Lady Yuna Leska is the Lady Yuna, her shadow self, okay, metaphorically, and we're going to get all into that. But in this game, right, Yuna is about to meet the principle of herself, the woman that is about her future self, the woman that is about to lose her consort. Her consort, this Zeon character, the final summon, there is no final summon. There is no final summon. Like I said, Zeon became the first reincarnation of sin. And every other guardian, there's always been a guardian that has become the reincarnation of sin. And Jekt was the last one. So let's get into this.
There is no final Aeon?
But fear not. Lady Yuna Leska will show you the path. The final Aeon will be yours.
Lady Yuna Leska.
Welcome to Zanarkand. I congratulate you, Summoner. You have completed your pilgrimage. I will now bestow you with that which you seek. The final summoning will be yours. Now, choose. You must choose the one whom I will change to become the faith of the final summoning. There must be a bond between chosen and summoner, for that is what the final summoning embodies.
People, have you ever heard of the concept of sacrificing a loved one? Okay, just that concept. If you've ever looked that shit up, that's what UNESCO is talking about right now. There must be a physical bond, a memory, an emotional force, a will that is going to keep the spiritual and the physical tied. So when a final summon is created, the link between the summoner and the summoned is going to be strong.
You will soon be freed of worry and pain. For once you call forth the final Aeon, your life will end.
Okay people, I'd like to go over some of the concepts that I've spoken about in this game real quick. Lady Yuna, as I've stated, represents the goddess Isis or Hecate, what have you, right? It's just the mother goddess as a principle. Ishtar, right? It's all the same thing, which I say on this channel. All gods are literally, okay, let's say me and you, the person watching this, any random person, was to trace our lineage backwards, okay, right? We'll trace it back to our families, right? But what if you was to trace it all the way backwards, all the way back, Jurassic period, pre-Jurassic period, all the way back to the first ever organism? Both me and whoever is watching this will end up at the same spot, which is the original organism, right? And since we are all the reflection of this original organism manifest, that means we are, you the person watching this and me are the same being, right? To different degrees, right? You are listening to yourself give you information, okay? Right, so yourself is giving information back to you. That's what gods are, because you're starting with the beginning of things, primordial things. All the things that come from God is God. So that's going. So, Ra, right? Osiris is Ra. Ra is light, the sun. What is Osiris? Light, the sun. What is Horus? Light, the sun. Right? And then you have this whole aspect of a triple god, or a triple deity, or a triple goddess. Like I said, Square used the same mythology over and over again. So if you've played the Kingdom Hearts games and how convoluted it is, it's probably not written very well, but it still deals with these same principles. So Sora is a triple god, etc. And that's what Lady Yuna is. They always use the same things. So what is a triple goddess? Okay, so people, the triple goddess is a deity or deity archetype revered in many neo-pagan religious and spiritual traditions. In common neo-pagan usage, the triple goddess is viewed as a triunity of three distinct aspects or figures united in one being. These three figures are often described as the maiden, the mother, and the crone, each of which symbolizes both a separate stage in the female life cycle and a phase of the moon. You see that? Often rules one of the realms of heaven, earth, and the underworld. In various forms of Wicca, her masculine consort is the horned god. And when they say the horned god, that could be any of the horned gods. It could be the stag god. It could be the ram's head. It could be the head of the bull. It all represents the male figurehead. Okay, that's all it represents, right? So people, Lady Yuna represents this goddess to a T. When she gets her own game, you can see that she's a master of the land, master of the skies, and master of the underworld. So he's traveling through all of these places, okay? And everything that's happening to her in Final Fantasy X-2 is being projected in the game, right? So when she's low, the people are low, and as she raises up, the people raise up. She represents the mother goddess. So check this out. Who is the Lady Yuna? Let's look at Hecate, a famous triple goddess, and see if it links to anything. Hecate was the chief goddess presiding over magic and spells. She witnessed the abduction of Demeter's daughter Persephone to the underworld, and torch in hand, assisted in the search for her. Thus, pillars called Hecatea stood at the crossroads and doorways, perhaps to keep away evil spirits. And the reason why they're at the crossroads and the doorways is because all of these goddesses, whether it's Hecate, Ishtar, you name it, they're always going into the underworld. Alright? Now, the figure of Hecate can often be associated with the figure of Isis in Egyptian myth. See what I'm saying? Mainly due to her relationship with esoteric knowledge. In Hebrew myth, she is often compared to the figure of Lilith and to the whore of Babylon. So, just like earlier in the video, in the this study, when I said that Lady Una is the mother of demons, right? Okay, that's where you get the whole Lilith principle. She has demons slash summons slash aeons on her person, okay? And she can summon them at will. Okay, that's also the whole thing about her being fixated on people's soul, right? In the first game, she's going around collecting souls. In the second game, she's also going around collecting souls, but they call them dress spheres. And all that a dress sphere is the same thing as materia from Final Fantasy VII. It is the soul of the live stream, hardened, crystallized. So if there's an element within that sphere, you can awaken that element using the sphere. If there are memories in the sphere, you can awaken the sphere, etc, etc, etc. All right, and it is used in the Final Fantasy X lore as the planet's resource, right? Like how we use oil. So just like in Final Fantasy VII, materia in Final Fantasy VII and spheres in Final Fantasy X represent fossilization of the dead. That's all it represents. But in the game, you can acquire power from it, which is the same as in our lives. Most of our things are made from the dead. They're fossils. Our fuel is fossils. Technically, metals and things are the souls of the dead and the earth. Okay? Simple as that. So basically, all that fantasies are basically things that are happening anyway, just fantasized to an extreme, right? And that's what this game is. Every little piece of its lore can be found in the laws and in the mythologies of our actual planet as well, which I find really interesting. That's why I enjoy making these videos, and I enjoy, of course, highlighting it to any who has the ears to hear, right? So basically, what's happening in this game is that Lady Unaleska, or Lady Una, right? The old ways of Lady Una must come to an end. And so the newer, younger Lady Una is going to take over with a new principle, because Lady Unaleska's age is ending. The age of sin, which represents the patriarchy in this game, is going to be over. And after that, of course, it's going to be the age of the divine goddess, right? Which is going to be the age of the Lady Una herself. Okay? Anyway, let's continue. Since I've already gone over the name Una linking to the moon, right? Let's talk about Unaleska, because the name Leska is the same as the name Lex or Alexa, right? I always tell you that all languages are linked. So if something is a X in another language or a SKA in another language, they're still connected, right? So Leska is Lexa, like Alexa or Alex, right? Or Alice, right? The name was the name Lexa was one of the title epithets given to Greek goddess Hera, and as such usually taken to mean one who comes to save warriors. Okay, so it's the same thing, protector of men like Rex or Lex. Okay, lord of the people, right? And that's what Leska represents. She represents the Lady Una in the role as lord of the people. Now once you kill the Lady Una Leska, right? Once you kill the Lady Una Leska, the Lady Una becomes Lord of the People. And like I said, Square always use the same law. So just like Jekt is Tidus, technically, the Lady Una Leska is the Lady Una. Okay, so people, at the beginning of this study, when I said to you that once Tidus goes up into the light, into the physical realm, right, into continuity, it ends up in this birth canal, right? And he said, and I said, he can see all sorts of things in there, like the image of Xanakin and his father. But when he goes, swims over to it, right, he sees that his father is a mirror reflection of himself. And the reason why his father is a mirror reflection of himself, because he is his dad reincarnated. He's an extension of Jekt, right? Jekt's plan, thought form, or what have you, is still Tidus. It's like Tidus is Jekt's thought forms, and thus is Jekt. Okay, just like how Jekt himself is a thought form, right? And one more thing I'll say interesting about this whole when Tidus came into being and showed that he is his dad, or his dad is his shadow self, right? When he comes out of the water, he talks about the first feeling he got when he came to Earth is how alone he was. When Bahamut, when basically Tidus touches the faith, and then he goes home, as Bahamut calls it, welcome home, right? You'll notice that Bahamut is just sitting down in a room. There is nobody in Dream Xanakin, no one. It's desolate. It's just an image. There's nobody in Dream Xanakin. There's all the people. It's just fireflies reacting to thought forms, right? The thought forms of the faith, etc., right? So when Tidus was in Xanakin, he was alone, just like how Bahamut is alone, right? But Bahamut could visit the thought forms that was Tidus. So when Tidus was alone, this whole time, his mom was never there. He never ever met his father or anything, right? But he just knew that his father's image, because his father's image and everything is in his dad's memories, and he's just a baton pass of his dad's memories.
Huh?
It begins.
What?
Don't cry.
This scene right here was at the beginning of the game, and Tidus, the things that was going on in his imagination, all of the people running around, wasn't real. So when Bahamut came into contact with him and was a real thought form, everything stopped. 10 years ago, Auron was killed, and the spirit of Auron passed into sin, thus meeting with Tidus, right? And then Auron manifested with Tidus, okay? That's why in Tidus's imagination, he met Auron, he hadn't seen Oron for 10 years, right? Pay attention to those things. He hasn't seen Oron for 10 years, and then Oron just comes around 10 years later and manifests, doing the intro scene to this game, manifesting Tidus, right? And this thing about him being alone and how the underworld works, okay, was in the scene you watched with Tidus and Bahamut. When Bahamut was interacting with Tidus this whole time, making his imagination stop, Tidus cannot even remember those things. Like, he struggles to remember Bahamut because it's all a dream. It's very foggy. Okay? Alright. I'm going to show you how this works, because Tidus himself, right, when he's born, he feels how alone he was. And this thing about the physics, about mental stimulating the underworld, is shown to you in the game.
What's gotten into you, hey?
Wake up! Wake up!
Wait, this is a dream. I think I had a dream. A dream of being alone. I wanted someone, anyone, beside me, so I didn't have to feel alone anymore.
Lord Braska, Jecht.
What do you want now?
Sin always comes back. It comes back after the calm, every time. The cycle will continue and your deaths will mean nothing.
But there's always a chance it won't come back this time. It's worth trying.
I understand what you're saying, Orin. I'll find a way to break the cycle.
You have a plan?
Checked?
Trust me, I'll think of something.
The character of Tidus represents Jecht himself, okay? The character Tidus standing before you is literally Jecht's plan manifest, okay? Let's get into this.
Have you chosen the one to become your faith? Who will it be?
Might I ask something first? Will sin come back even should I use the final summoning to defeat it?
Sin is eternal. Every Aeon that defeats it becomes sin in its place. And thus is sin reborn.
So that's why Jecht became Sin.
Sin is an inevitable part of Spira's destiny. It is never-ending.
This cannot be! The teachings state that we can exercise sin with complete atonement! It's been our only hope all these years!
Hope is comforting.
No! Where is the sense in all this? Braska believed in Yevon's teachings and died for them. Jecht believed in Braska and gave his life for him.
They chose to die because they had hope.
Okay, if you notice, Tidus's will triggered his emotions, triggered the fireflies around him to pull from their memories from the fact that Oron felt the same way and had the same reaction when confronting the Lady Yunalesca. Also, Oron knows that this is how the Lady Yunalesca is going to react. Also, Oron knows that Lady Yunalesca is an unsent, right? And she is just the memories and the will of this feminine, this divine feminine, right? Pushing this thing around, this being the final hope, gorging on souls. Okay, and I say that she's Yuna upside down. Yuna is Spira's hope. Yuna Leska also represents hope. Like I said, she represents Yuna's future self. To defeat, to bring about a new age, Yuna Leska had to sacrifice her consort, and to bring about a new age, the Lady Yuna is going to have to sacrifice her consort. I said all of this that I've been showing has been represented Scorpio. Everything about Scorpio is in this. It's all about the underworld theme. It's all about the life and death cycle. Next, we're going to be moving on to, of course, the whole Sagittarius aspect. Let's go. When you go from Scorpio, where the life and death situation, this is what we're going to do, into Sagittarius, which is ruled over by Jupiter. Sagittarius being ruled over by Jupiter represents the same thing, Jupiter the boy god, now becoming knowledge and experienced, okay, right? Sagittarius represents Chiron, the great healer, wisdom, okay? So usually you'll get a scene of the hero patching himself up after the Scorpio, going through the Scorpio, and we got this one shot. This is the, we've got this one shot archetype that is in movies. This represents the bow and arrow, the taking the shot at what? The thing that comes next, Capricorn.
Here goes! Everyone, hold on to something! Here we go!
So after defeating the Lady Yuna Leska and destroying the only hope of destroying sin, these guys are going to create a new hope. They are going to be the new hope. And the sad thing about this all at this point is that Tidus is the only person that knows that he's going to die. Because when the Faith decided that they was going, when this group of people decided that they was going to commit the coup, okay, and form this mass burial ground, sacrificial burial ground for the cult leader Yevon, right, and bring about this dream to Anakin. What they didn't know is that, maybe Yevon did, but what they didn't know is that this dream is going to have a as above, so below effect. So just as the whole process of creating a summon, somebody that you have a bond with, you sacrifice them and form a new bond with them in death, and that new bond will bring about this divine fiend, as I mentioned earlier. Well, this mass sacrificial burial ground brought about the biggest, baddest fiend the world has ever seen. So in their creating a dream world, creating their dream world below, they created the hell above. Okay? And like I said, maybe Yevon was aware of this because he didn't like Bavel. Let's look, I'm just going to say this. Bavel as a concept represents humanity as a whole. You have Zanakin. Zanakin looks better than Bavel does now. Okay? Obviously, Zanakin was spending all of its money, its resources, and its technological prowess on fun times. So when war was kicking off, all they really had as a defense was summoners. And what Bavel was doing was spending all of their resources on warfare. So Zanakin didn't stand a chance, right? So much destructive machina, right? Sin was Yevon's only hope, okay? And no matter which way you look at it, Yevon as a good guy or Yevon as a bad guy, it doesn't matter. That principle of Yevon's hatred for Bavel manifested as sin. In this game, once sin has been grounded, you go into sin, and as you can see, it looks like the thought forms that Tidus generates in his dreams, or when he gets in contact with the underworld, as I explained earlier in the study. Of course, in the center of sin is Jecht, just like at the start of the game. Now you're here with your whole party. So let me just explain something about Jecht real quick. The name Jecht, Jecht, is exactly the same as the word jet, Jet, right? Jecht means movement, to set into motion, like to jet set. Motion and speed are linked to manifestation and time. Everything that is real must be in motion. If there is no action or movement, then thought form equates to zero. Alright? Nothing, no continuity, no time. That is a dream. When you have experiences that equal out to zero and you remember them, they are a dream. They're not real. Okay? So Jecht represents action, motion. It's in the name. The Jecht symbol is a play on the letter J and the ram's horn of Aries, linked to Martian principle, because Martian principle means to go or to act. Okay? It is the fire principle. As I've been showing in this study, the dark entity Yevon has absorbed the light of Aries and created the great winter. So you guys are about to bring about the resurrection of the sun. So this is where the sun dies. This is where Tidus dies. This is where all things that are linked to the sun die also. The triple form of Tidus. Tidus has a lower form, which is Jecht. He has a higher form, which is Oran. And then there's him himself, because Tidus is also a triple god. Okay, principle. Alright. And we're not going to get too much into this ending. Okay, because we know what's going to happen. Yevon is destroyed. And when Yevon is destroyed, when this cycle is destroyed, right, because all Yevon is a thought form in the underworld, as shown in the game. When this thought form is brought to an end, just like how Capricorn represents winter, the sun is about to die, right? So, of course, Tidus dies at the end of the game, right?
Don't stop.
But
It's all right.
So now that the principle of Tidus and Oran, their quest has come to an end and is complete. They are about to disappear from the physical world. And thus they do disappear from the physical world. Like I said, Oran, who represents Odin, okay, Odin lost an eye in exchange for drinking from the great lake of knowledge. And that's what happened when Oran was killed. He drank from the great sea of the life stream of the far plane, and of course resurrected looking old with one eye. Oran wasn't really Oran. He also had to go back to the underworld, and Tidus, you get the touching scene of when Yuna tries to hug Tidus, but Tidus must disappear.
Yuna, I have to go. I'm sorry I couldn't show you Xanarkand. Goodbye.
Hey! We're gonna see you again!
Yuna!
People, in the second game, all right, you bring about a new principle, and that principle is the divine feminine. Now that sin, order, masculine logic has been defeated, the order of Lady Yuna comes into being, and that is represented as the game Final Fantasy X-2, and there is continuity between, of course, Tidus's disappearance, and of course, the Lady Yuna being the new age and the feminine age. All right. Both Tidus the Light, when he has been cast down into the great winter, and he's dead. Tidus becomes a wrathful thought form that is the character Shu Yin. In this game, the Lady Yuna is in search of Tidus, and only to find Shu Yin, who looks exactly like Tidus, right? Shu Yin represents just represents Tidus. It's literally Tidus, right? And Len, Shu Yin's consort, represents the Lady Yuna, and the game is even more blatant with it. Okay, so Len, okay, the name Len, right, can mean torch. Okay, it literally means torch, bright light. Right, this is how we get the word lens. Okay, and I've mentioned this before with names like Helen and things like that. Right, it also means brave lion or brave lioness, linked to names like Leona and Leonard and Lennart. Okay, but it essentially means torch, beautiful, light, bright, or shining, or Magdala, right? And of course, Magdala is linked to Magdalene, Mary Magdalene. If you look at so if the Lady Yunalesca, right? If the Lady Yunalesca is the Lady Yuna shadow, who the Lady Yuna had to defeat in the first game, then Len is Yuna's higher self or persona, right? Because it's exactly the same thing as the persona mythos. It's the exact same use of the mythology. So once her lower self, Lady Yuna, was defeated, Lady Yuna's higher self is what she's going to have to use to progress through in her own storyline. And I know some people don't like Final Fantasy X-2, the game, but Lady Yuna deserved this game. Even though it is reuse assets, the game, Lady Yuna did deserve her story to be completed, and it was. And a lot of people say that the Lady Yuna in this game isn't the same character. she is exactly the same character and is following her principle, which is the mother of witches. And when the mother of witches loses her consort, she goes red and becomes the whore of Babylon. So this is why now the Lady Una is in her booty shorts. Okay, all right. Check this out. Okay, this is about Hecate, which will be, of course, the Lady Una, and Persephone, who would be the Lady Unalesca. According to Robert Graves, Hecate was the original and most predominant ancient triple moon goddess. Hecate was represented in triple form from the early days of worship. Diana, aka Artemis, also came to be viewed as a trinity of three goddesses in one, which were viewed as distinct aspects of a single divine being. Diana as the huntress, Diana as the moon, and Diana of the underworld. Additional examples of the goddess Hecate viewed as a triple goddess association with witchcraft includes Lucan's tale of a group of three witches written in the 1st century BCE. In Lucan's work, the witches speak of Persephone, who is the third and lowest aspect of the god Hecate, right? You get what I'm saying? The principle of Persephone is the principle of falling to the material things, men, right? Just like how Adam fell to the vision of Eve, Persephone falls to the vision of Hades, right? So the thing that links Una and Unalesca, their behavior patterns, is the loss of their masculine counterpart desire, right? That's what makes them become soul harvesters, right? In Final Fantasy X-2, the Lady Una is getting feelings from these dress spheres, the feelings, the emotions, also gaining abilities as well. In the gameplay in this game, the Lady Una is able to capture fiends like Pokemon, right, and have them under control. You can have any fiend in the game, even bosses, can be controlled by the Lady Una. It's in the gameplay, and it's also in the job changing aspect, because as you take people's souls that are crystallized in these spheres, you take on their abilities to fight with, right? And the dress sphere that makes the songstress in the game is Lady Una herself's memories from 1,000 years ago as a maiden archetype, which would be the Lady Len. And just like Riku, who is the maiden, she is the light, the bringer of new beginnings, and that is why the Lady Una takes the principle of Len in the underworld to defeat the shadow of Tidus. Because how do you defeat a shadow? By casting light where the shadow is. So Len, the light, is cast on Shuyin. Shuyin means shadow of Tidus to bring about peace to Spira. Because the thing about the female age, the age of the feminine, it's about chaos. It's the opposite of the masculine. So even though death and destruction was coming in the masculine, it's the same in the feminine, but it just comes about in a different way. So the world before was structured and ordered by the father god aspect, and it was very religious. And then the feminine aspect isn't very religious. It's very, very do what thou wilt, Luciferian principle. This is why these principles are in modern religion are linked to things that are not orderly and thus are demonized. Okay, so Una represents liberty and freedom, but of course that liberty and freedom can cause chaos, and you get to see that in this new Spira. I hope that makes sense. I would love to talk about this stuff and go into every aspect of the game, but it's virtually impossible. I think I'm out of time here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let the character Micah explain how the lady Yuna is in fact Len herself. Thank you for listening to this video. If you made it this far, I hope you found this stuff interesting. This series, okay, this series right here took a lot of work, like hours. Maybe in the future I will upload this video as this series as one long video. But thank you for your patience. Thank you for sitting through. This has been Lokiman07. Please show your appreciation by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Always welcome. If you have any questions, drop them below. Like I said, I'll let Myken explain the lore, and hope it all makes sense. Take care. Peace, people.
Jeez, Gramps, you really know a lot.
Where'd you learn all that?
That would be...
That would be...
Well... This should explain things.
Gramps, you're dead?
Mortifying, isn't it? Over the years, I managed to completely forget that I am on scent. It was only when I shook your hand, Lady Yuna, that I remembered.
Why?
1,000 years ago, here in Zanarkand, I shook the hand of another young lady.
1,000 years.
It was Len.
Correct. It was quite a strange feeling shaking your hand. Two different people from two distant times with exactly the same handshake.
You've met a lot of people, huh?
Yes, my child. Many meetings and just as many partings. The many people I have known have all journeyed to the far plane, leaving only me behind. 'Tis quite lonely.
Gramps?
Father?
Do forgive me. My memories seem to have a mind of their own.
So people really are connected.
Ah, but of course.
Well, Machen, thank you. I hope we meet again.
As do I.